How you doing? Welcome back to Lovelations, where we are navigating love. I am DJ O'Neal.
And I am Philip Pullen.
We're talking about love does not boast. And you're now in the session where we're talking about you're really not all that, part 2.
Part 2.
So, in our last episode, we really talked about boasting, what it was, the exaggeration of yourself, and having excessive pride about your acts. And we really wanted to dive further into this idea of placing more value in the act over the actual value of the one you serving, and to really kind of land the effects of that in a relationship. So if I'm being honest, in my relationship when I got married, I was definitely trying to do everything I could for my wife. But what I realized is that more than doing it so that she know that she's loved, I wanted to do it to prove that I was a good husband. And so anytime the act wasn't appreciated to the level I thought it should, it felt like my husbandry was being attacked, or my identity, because again, I'm placing more value on what the act is supposed to make me look like than on who I was serving. And because of that, there wasn't any authentic fruit of intimacy being born, but basically me critiquing her responses to everything I did. And it soured our relationship very early.
It sounds like it built some resentment up. Definitely.
And again, it's more because I'm thinking you should be doing jumping jacks, jumping through hoops because I did X, Y, Z.
Right.
And again, we talked in the last episode just strictly on because now I'm demanding something back. The only thing I was demanding back is a level of, acknowledgement and validation, because I'm like, hey, I wear a cape, and she's like, no, you wear pants,
right.
and we're still growing together, and so again, this desire to boast, to think of yourself highly or greater, or put that value on the act more than on the person you serve. If it was really about her, when it didn't work, when it wasn't to her level of appreciation that I thought she received, it would be to study her more.
Something that comes to mind is, God is always, the Bible says many are the plans in a man's heart, but God always examines their motives.
Exactly.
And so when we have this sense of entitlement, when we feel the desire to boast about the things we're doing, not only can, not even from the spirit, just the spiritual sense, but your spouse questions your your sincerity, right?
Right.
Are they doing it because they love me?
Right.
Are they doing it because they want it to be known?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That they're doing this for me.
Right.
And it kind of takes away the genuineness, that authenticity, where the very thing that I hope to get out of that moment is lost in the moment.
Right.
Because the person is now questioning my sincerity. And I've been on both sides. I've been on the side where I boasted, and I've been on the side where I was truly genuine and it wasn't received, right? It was almost like, is this for real? Is this for real? Are you doing this just because you want something, right? What's the ulterior motive behind what you're doing? And you don't want to be in that place. That's for sure. That's for sure.
And like you said, I've definitely played both sides. And when you have played both sides, you definitely have to have a level of patience for them to, I guess you could say, regain the trust of being deceived in the original motives. At the end of the day, it's like, yeah, you may have pure motives, but now in that, just stay consistent, and I believe at the end of the day, now your consistent desire to truly serve them and just communicate your love will now overcome the previous selfishness of boasting,
Right. I think one of the things too that is maybe not what's the word I'm looking for here is alluded to is when you begin to boast about the things that you are doing, it leads to a place of distrust. Whenever you find yourself in a place of distrust in your relationship, there is always a rebuilding process.
Definitely.
There's always you make it that much harder for you to get back to a place, because at the end of the day, I believe, and without a shadow of doubt, in all of our relationships, we all want to have intimacy. We want to know that we want there to be a level of not only intimacy but sincerity in the relationship. This person really loves me.
Right.
They really care about me genuinely for who I am and not for any other reason or any other motive.
Right.
And boasting steals that away. It takes away from that moment because it takes the attention off of your spouse and places it back on you. And so that thing that is like the glue of the relationship is basically damaged. It separates, it shreds the relationship.
Definitely, you know. So it basically with the boasting that I did, you know, and coming to terms with it, it took a lot of communication, took a lot of humility, and I will say it took more celebrating her in that process, and just, you know, things she was doing and not necessarily trying to receive anything in return, and showing, I guess you could say, if it wasn't a thank you or if it wasn't something in return, to be at peace and not let your demeanor change, disappointment, because it was like, it was for you. And if today's not the day, it's well received, it's okay, it's still available. And again, this is a discipline I know I had to grow to have in order for that it to genuinely be resolved that I'm here to serve.
Was there a rebuilding process,
definitely,
if you will, with your spouse?
Yeah, definitely. And I don't want to intimidate anybody, but it wasn't overnight, and it wasn't even a few months, you know. And it's not something to be, I guess you could say, turned off by, because I'm glad it took that long, because it disciplined me. It had to, you know, you can be selfless for a month, you know, but there's still that I'm waiting.
Right.
I'm being selfish so it can turn around, and then it's after a while it's kind of like a diet, right?
I was just thinking.
You know, it's like you do it because I want to lose weight. I want to lose weight. Then it just comes to a point that I don't desire that other food anymore.
Right.
I really enjoy eating this healthy food. That's when I've changed. Right. And it had to be there in my relationship. I get excited about serving my wife, and when that really was like resolved, that's when I could see her receive it. Even though it was a process and I was doing it all along, it was resolved in that moment. And whether she saw it or not, it was just there. And she could see it.
Yeah. You genuinely doing it because you desired and you loved her,
right,
not because you wanted her to notice what you were doing.
Right. And again, I have conversations with people, and this isn't natural. And the reality is, you want natural to guide your relationship, at best it will be mediocre. All right? If you want something phenomenal, you got to be willing to do phenomenal things that others aren't willing to do. And so when we're talking about this higher level of intimacy, higher level of commitment, you're doing things that naturally you probably wouldn't do on a committed level, because it doesn't come natural. Because we all desire to be validated, affirmed, you know, connected to, served. You know, these things please us.
And to the truth be told, it doesn't come with a ready reward. It's
right,
not something that you can truly gets the instant gratification for, right? It's not like going to work and expecting to get a check. It's not like taking a test and expecting to pass a class. It is something that truly is something that you continue to practice over and over and over time, and the reward is something yet to be seen. We know it's going to be great.
Right.
We don't know what it's going to look like yet.
Exactly.
But we know that if we work at it, it's worth the time and the energy put into it. Definitely.
Exactly. So again, when we talk about boasting, it definitely puts more emphasis on the act than the person you do it for. And if we really want to wear a cape in our relationship or be heroes, keep in mind, every real hero that we celebrate, and even your fictional ones, they put the value on the people they were saving or serving. You know, we talk about people, Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King did not step into the folds and lead so that he could have a holiday. He desired equality for African Americans. He desired unity in America. And because that was what led him, he had a people following him because they could see that passion and they could see that commitment. And he wasn't perfect, but he was genuine to that cause. And so you won't be perfect in your relationship. But if you are genuine to the cause of uniting, of making sure the best you guys are able to have security, safety, and intimacy in your relationship, and you're willing to yield yourself and give of yourself and sacrifice for yourself, and you're truly committed to that, it will be evident. And your spouse will see that and feel safe and feel open. And I think that's what gets the fruit. But if you are tempted to turn away from that because it hasn't happened yet, you're going to invalidate everything you've worked for up until that point.
There are no shortcuts in this game. It's not a shortcut. It's going to take as long as it's going to take. In that process, it's a commitment to that process.
Right.
Knowing that you don't know when that date will come, but it will come if you commit to that process. And just know that the tools like this here, where it's like love, we don't boast. We know that we move one step closer towards that level of intimacy and sincerity. Because I honestly believe that you don't get into a relationship with somebody, not especially a serious relationship or a marriage, not desiring to be totally intimate, to be totally naked emotionally, if you will, in front of somebody else. Right. And you want them to see the sincerity of your heart. You want them to see sincerity, and you want to know that they're being sincere towards you. We know we want that from them, but we also want them to know that from us. Right. And that process can only come through the continuous quiet effort, the continuously doing things because I'm putting my focus and my attention on my spouse day after day after day. Thankless time, doing things that may not even be seen or addressed, lost in the hubbub of busyness and right. and stress and children and all these other things, right?
Work.
Just to make that effort to show each and every day that I love you, I'm there for you, I care for you, and whether you see it or not, I desire to give that gift to you every single day, without a word. So this is a beautiful lesson.
Yeah, definitely, man. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I hope you guys and listeners and viewers have enjoyed it. If so, definitely, man, do not hesitate to like it, share it. Let's spread the word. Again, let's awaken our mindsets. Let's do this thing on a whole nother level so people can see that marriage does work, commitment does work, that we don't have to run away from this process. We can face it head on, and it doesn't get easier, but what?
You always get better.
We always get better at it. So this is Lovelations. We're navigating love. Make sure you continue to follow us. Check out the next episode. Thank you for tuning in with us.